Beware the Ides of March. Andrew Breitbart is dead. An icon of alternative, trailblazing media, whether you agree with his politics or not. He was very close to bringing down the Obama administration with Acorn and with the energy companies and the rest of it, and was effectively endangering a second term. He announced, of course, in February, just last month, that he would soon release footage of Obama in college, damning footage, and that he would vet him and expose him as a confirmed Marxist in college, and that he would bring down Obama. Just shooting down Acorn, which was a way to funnel billions of dollars into their different Democratic Party and Chicago Mafia apparatus systems. Just going after Acorn alone cut off money to big city machines across the United States who are very, very nasty people. I don't have to tell you, Chicago is a mafia city of mafia cities, and the mayor of Chicago, going back generation for generation, has always been a mob boss. It's Rahm Emanuel there now. Unprecedented corruption with terrorist and communist and big city poverty pimps, slumlords, Resco, the list goes on and on. And Breitbart was going after them, and he is, of course, dead now. And the media is saying, well, the LA Times, it's natural causes, we want to tell you that. He'd had a few heart issues, and he was walking along and fell down and went to the hospital and died. And we want to tell you just a few hours into it, you know, no autopsy, no nothing, he died of natural causes. Kind of like we were told the Pulitzer Prize winner Gary Webb, who had a new book coming out soon, he was finishing it, exposing CIA drug dealing, confirming his previous investigation and vindicating himself. He shot himself twice in the head, and the police that dropped by said, oh, that's quite normal. Of course, he told friends and family who he had on the show that men had been breaking into his house. He'd seen men scaling down the drainage pipes off his roof, special forces types in plain clothes, ransacking his home. He'd just moved and was worried for his safety. I had multiple witnesses on who said this. But there's no foul play. You got people breaking in your house. You're moving. There's special forces guys, coming down off your second-story roof, scaling down the pipe on the side of the house. Oh, they're just sliding down it, special forces types. It's no big deal. That's what he said. Professional military types scaling down like monkeys down from the second story. And then he moved into a one-story. And the media spun it and said, don't listen to Jones's witnesses. He lived in a one-story. Yeah, 6 months before, it was a two-story. And it's normal to shoot yourself twice in the head. Blow your jaw off with the first shot and then shoot yourself in the side of the head. It's normal. It's no big deal. Of course, the D.C. madam, I said, look, don't kill yourself. She said, I would never kill myself. I said, well, you better either say you destroy the list of names you got and say you are here on air, or you better go public now. And I was telling her off air, don't tell me any names. I don't want to know. They're listening right now. A couple months later, they hung her and killed her. And I talked to her apartment manager. She said she was scared. Men were following her. I mean, had the guy on the air. He sent me her well, we'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Welcome. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, Austin, back in studio after almost a week and a half outside of town, traveling across the United States, speaking to overflow crowds of fellow liberty lovers. Thank you so much for joining us. It is March 1st, 2012, on this Thursday edition. And we are going to be live here for the next 3 hours. Obviously, we need to beware the Ides of March. an unlucky time even before the assassination via stabbing in the Roman Senate of Julius Caesar, popularized in more modern times by William Shakespeare and his theatrical portrayal of the stabbing death in the Roman Senate of Julius Caesar. Beware the Ides of March. And we know what befell the individuals that did stab Caesar to death. I will get into the death of Breitbart, media trailblazer, and we have an article up at Infowars.com, linked in red. Will damning Obama footage still be released after Breitbart's death? That is the question. He had just said a few weeks ago that he's got incredibly damning footage of Obama in college and damning information about who funded him and the foundations and the communist connections and the criminal connections to the Weatherman and the rest of it. And, of course, he's somebody who did bring down Acorn, which cost the globalists billions. You know, they've got their energy deals where they're paying people off that way. And he made a lot of mafia groups angry. And if you don't question his death, and the establishment saying within hours of the news coming out, oh, it's completely natural, don't worry about it, go to sleep, everything's fine. If you don't question this, something is wrong with you. So we're going to be getting to that here in a few minutes, and I'll go over it. And I'll open the phones up so you can give us your take on it. And then we got Ed Asner on for about 20 minutes a few weeks ago. Got some time zone issues or something scrambled. So he'll be on with us a full hour today because he's obviously the former head of the Screen Actors Guild, famous Hollywood star in hundreds of films, from JFK to you name it. Mary Tyler Moore show, his own Lou Grant show. And he's a very interesting fellow. And I want to get him on for a full hour interview and also take some calls for him. And then in the third hour, we'll continue with the news. Obviously, the news gets heavier and heavier and crazier by the minute. We'll get into the whole Breitbart death here in just a moment. And then we have Sheriff Arpaio, who's been raided by the feds, as you know, as soon as he announced he was going to investigate Barack Obama's eligibility in the state, because the state house is trying to pass laws. But I think Arizona has, demanding last year to see the birth certificate and to actually see the long form and to see an original. And you've got other states with court hearings demanding to see it. And he got raided by the feds as soon as he did that. And he says he's now about to release the findings of this 6-month investigation. WorldNet Daily's got a report on that. It's also linked up at Drudge Report. We've got a report at Infowars.com. Democratic lawmaker tells D.C. Metro to remove ad that profanes Obama. The ad said Barack Obama wants politicians and bureaucrats to control America's entire medical system. And they've are demanding that be taken down because they go on to say, go to Hades, Barack. We'll be going over that report. Also, big news up at Infowars.com. Hillary Clinton admits U.S. and al-Qaeda are on the same side in Syria in a TV interview. So they can't hide that our troops are ordered to grow opium in Afghanistan, now 90+% of world supply, up from 10% a decade ago. So they just put the troops on TV growing it and just hide it in plain view and say, big deal, we grow it, we ship it in, you go to prison when you use it. And the cops pull you over, want to search your car looking for drugs, their boss is shipped in. I mean, it's just a total hoax. And she's saying, yeah, we work with al-Qaeda. So it's hurting them bad that this is coming out. Last year we got news, almost time for Bilderberg again, hard to believe that, that Bilderberg was very, 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 very upset over the fact that it was in the LA Times and Washington Post and other places that al-Qaeda was being used to invade out of the east into the west of Libya and engaging in ethnic cleansing. They don't want that type of information out there. That legitimizes those of us and the 6 9/11 commissioners of the 10 that said they were lied to, that it was a criminal conspiracy involving the Pentagon. I mean, those are quotes. Go look it up. And then hijackers trained at U.S. bases on record, you know, the heads of bases going public and saying, I don't know what's going on, but I taught Muhammad Atta for a year at the Defense Language School. He sat in my class. Something's going on. Colonel Butler, you're going to be court-martialed unless you come out and say you're going to shut up. I mean, Colonel Butler's like, this guy was in my class, and so were a couple others. And they're like, shut up. Shut up. And then it's like, Alex Jones is an anti-American traitor. He shouldn't point out that the colonel went public and it was in the Associated Press and San Jose Mercury News. I'm just supposed to go, oh, and I interviewed the head of the U.S. Embassy Visa Department who reported that they were ordered to let Muhammad Atta and, 7 others in from an al-Qaeda summit. And they were like, but they're flagged as top terrorists. They're like, that's their cover. They're CIA. I mean, I've had Springman and others on. I mean, these are facts. Do you understand? The government got the underwear bomber on Christmas Day on the plane. I told you that a month and a half before it was on C-SPAN because I had an eyewitness, Kurt Haskell, and his wife that saw it happen. They're at the gate saying he doesn't have ID, he doesn't have a visa, or they got him the visa, he doesn't have a passport. What are you doing? And this guy had such authority, he got Atta on the plane. And then there's some guy for the last hour filming him 2 seats behind him, and they're acting all weird, and Haskell's watching. What is this? Kind of like the actor James Woods, who was on the plane 2 weeks before 9/11, and saw Muhammad Atta and others getting up out of their seats drilling for a hijacking. And he got off, told everybody, and nobody wanted to talk to him. It's just like when they have the air marshals practice taking bombs on planes. Air marshals, they can give you a real bomb, especially if you're a Muslim. Don't ever do that. If you're, I know they got Muslim air marshals. Put you on the plane, blow it up, and then just take you off the roster that you were ever even on the plane, and they'll just have some cutout with a fake Muslim name and put a guy on the news. I mean, that's how they do it. We know the 7/7 guys. Man, they had some Cracker Jacks out there during the break, and I've got one of those little pits right underneath my tongue. It's driving me crazy. All right, continuing here. We've got all of that happening. And again, there's hundreds of these headlines, all of them totally insane. But Hillary Clinton admits U.S. and al-Qaeda on same side in Syria. They used the group to take over Libya. They're using them to attack Iran. They used them to attack the Serbs, used them to attack the Russians, used them to take the fall for attacking the U.S. You're like, well, what does al-Qaeda get? Well, the bin Laden family had their U.S. government contracts tripled through the Carlyle Group and other systems the year after 9/11. Tripled. The number I saw was they made an extra $4 billion in U.S. government military contracts. The bin Laden construction builds almost every U.S. military base in the Middle East and Central Asia. And the London Guardian reported the head of the bin Laden family and George Herbert Walker Bush were at breakfast the morning of 9/11 at the same table at a Carlyle Group luncheon in D.C. And then, of course, for 3 days, air traffic was grounded for 2.5 days, and only the bin Laden flights, more than 15, were allowed to go all over the U.S., pick people up with U.S. government guarding them, and, you know, FBI to tell locals, no, you let them go. Roger, Roger, you know, these are the bosses, and get them on those aircraft, including bin Laden's brother, bin Laden's sister, get them out. Get them out. Bin Laden family hanging out with the president, former president. And again, these are real articles. This is Miami Herald. This is London Guardian. This is all happening.